G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to smack that like button, sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user ImpressiveMix31, titled, Am I the a-hole for choosing not to pay my daughter's university fees despite paying for her brother's? So my 57 male daughter Jane, 21 female, has recently been accepted into the university of her choice. Now, me and my wife, 55 female, are glad with this news. The only thing is that Jane got accepted to do an English degree. Now, Jane, compared to her two brothers, Mark, 28 male, and Leo, 30 male, was quite late in applying to university. When me and my wife asked her to start at 18, she claimed that she was not ready and wanted to have a little bit of rest, going out with friends and traveling the whole of last year with her boyfriend. It should be noted that I supplied Jane with all the money needed for her little rest. Now, me and my wife have nothing against Jane doing what she did. She's young, and young people love to explore and do what they do. However, before me and my wife allowed for Jane to do her thing, we made her promise that when she did apply to university, it was for a degree that was worth it. Jane was going through a weird phase where she wanted to be many things that were more on the creative side. Fast forward a year later, we find out that Jane's gone behind our backs and applied for an English degree. Both Leo and Mark took medical degrees and are now very good, well-paid doctors. One would think that this would motivate Jane to go on the same path, but instead, she has decided to be herself. I sat down Jane last night and told her that if she decided to go through with the English degree, I would not support her at all and that she would have to take out her own student loan. At this, she began crying, claiming that I was the worst dad ever, and had always favored her brothers over her, because I had paid for their university fees. Now, this is totally incorrect. I did literally pay for her travel all of last year. My sons think that I'm being too harsh, and that I should simply support Jane regardless of what she chooses, but is it too much to ask of my daughters to follow through with an actual useful degree? Edit. No, my daughter's year of travel does not add up to her brother's tuition fees, not even close. For those wondering, I work as a cardiologist. My not wanting my daughter to do an English degree is not because I'm sexist, but because I want her to do something useful which she can live off of instead of depending on me for the rest of her life. I don't even know if this is something she really wants to do, or if it's another way of trying to rebel against me. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I decided to not pay for my daughter's uni fees because she has chosen to do an English degree despite my disapproval of it. I feel like this might make me an asshole because I have paid for her brother's uni fees. I understand why you think you're not the asshole in this situation, but why would this be another way for her to try to rebel against you? The way I see it is if she feels the need to rebel against you, does that not mean that you've done something wrong as a parent somewhere along the line here? Why have the brothers not felt the need to rebel against you? How have you treated them differently as opposed to your daughter here? Anyway, that's just food for thought. You're the a-hole. In the comments, your yogurt says, You're the a-hole. If it was because you paid an equal amount to her travels as her brother's education, I would say not the a-hole. But because she chose a degree that you disapprove of, you are punishing her. Also, I have an English degree. Sure, I don't earn as much as a doctor, but I've been a librarian for 10 years and have helped thousands of people. My pay is enough to keep me housed, fed, and comfortable. Edit. OP has admitted that the daughter is the black sheep of the family because she's always going against family norms. Imagine calling a family member a black sheep when all they wanted to do was study grammar. Elapan says, OP could have probably done with an English degree to know that it's paid and not paid. Aren't English degrees sought after anyway? Writing well is fundamental for many careers. LPZ2DY4 replies, I couldn't get past the me and my wife. Oof. Now, I'm not the grammar police, but if you're going to be so judgmental and snobby about a degree, get it together. Fool Me Once, Shame on You says, also the fact that he spelled paid 2 different ways within a single post. You'd think that he would understand the value of an education in its own right, just based on the fact that his own grasp of the fundamentals seems awfully precarious. But then, I never understand these posts whinging about kids who aren't choosing useful degrees, as if a university degree is a trade school certificate. All education is useful because, Well, it's education. Pay for it, don't pay for it, but if you don't understand the value of an education for its own sake, then just say that. OP is an ignoramus pretending that he actually cares about something important. Dr. Sachs says, you're the a-hole. Not everyone wants to do a medical degree. It's hard, it's long, and it leads you to being a doctor, which isn't for everyone. An English degree is a good degree. It's not a silly degree or a useless degree. I totally understand why she says you favorite her brothers. This is clear proof of that. Objective Mirror replies, I'm actually in the process of also graduating rather late in life with an English degree, which actually can be really fun too. Like, my thesis advisors actually spend hours and hours watching various TV series for legit research purposes and then analyzes everything about them. And now, onto the update. I would like to start by saying that I appreciate all the comments that were given, however unpleasant they were. They helped me understand that I was in the wrong, and some provided me with advice on what I should do if I wanted to keep in contact with my daughter. I realized that I was living too much in the past and wasn't taking into consideration how much things have changed in the last 30 years. My father worked as an artist in paintings and had little to no business. The only thing that saved my family from absolute poverty was my mother working in a supermarket. I guess I was afraid of such things happening to Jane. I hadn't actually talked to Jane about her degree until last Thursday. When I brought the topic up, she confessed to me that she was ready to take one of her degrees that I had recommended to her. I told her there was no need to, and she looked at me as if I was playing a cruel joke on her. I reassured her that I was being serious, and she began crying due to her happiness. I realized that I may have been favoring my sons due to their obedience to follow what I asked of them, and was punishing Jane for being herself rather than fitting into whatever I decided to make of her. Jane will be attending Oxford University later in the year to take her degree, and the relationship between us has never been better. I am highly appreciative of all the comments on my previous post. They helped me see how much I was prioritizing financial gain over my daughter's well-being, something which should never have been in question in the first place. In the comments, Dan the Man says, "This is what I love to see. Assholes taking the judgment they've been given and deciding to change for the better rather than being stubborn. Wishing you and your daughter the best, OP." Alarmed Jellyfish replies, "Yeah, it's refreshing to finally see an asshole who acknowledges their mistakes and tries to set things right. Also, an English degree from Oxford? Yeah, his daughter will never have any issues with employment." Scarlett O'Hara says, "Oxford is arguably the best university in the world. A degree in playing Candy Crush from Oxford would probably help set you up for life." I know, right? I couldn't believe the original post. Imagine a parent telling the kid, "Nope, sorry, you can't go to Oxford," because it's not good enough for them. Glad they changed their mind. Some people would rather their child be miserable, barely passing medical school until falling out eventually, than doing well at something they actually like. And they have the gall to say they love their children unconditionally. Disgusting. I would be willing to bet at least one of the sons would have rather been something else than a doctor. Can confirm. I am a constant disappointment to my mother for many reasons, but a big one is that I wasted my potential by not becoming a doctor, lawyer, etc. At the time, I simply didn't want to be any of those things. Now, at 45, I'm pretty certain that if I had gone into a high-stress career like that, I would not be alive today. Honestly, I'm so glad that OP came back and apologized for this one. Like, Oxford of all schools? I would do anything to go to Oxford. I would be so happy if any of my kids ever get to Oxford. I understand that they're jaded because of their past with their father, but damn, recognize that you're throwing your baggage on your kids and stop, man. I'm so happy that OP has now recognized their wrongs and is working towards righting all their terrible behavior. I think that is the least that we can ask of them. Anyway, I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next post is by user Wide Challenge 4874 titled, "Am I the a-hole for filling my coworker's bin with passive-aggressive tissues?" I do admin. My role in the office I work in isn't public-facing. It is 2 linked open doors with 2 smaller offices and a break room leading off them. At the beginning of September, we got called back to the office. Over lockdown, my coworker, who has the desk next to me, has acquired an emotional support dog. I am very allergic to dogs, and the first time I went back into the office, I wasn't expecting there to be a dog in it, so I didn't take any allergy meds. I asked her what the dog was doing there, and she explained that he was her new emotional support animal, and within an hour, my eyes and nose were streaming. I was struggling to breathe and sucking on my inhaler. The office manager allowed me to go home and work from home for that day, and I agreed to take the meds the next day. The next day I took meds and was a bit better, but I was sucking on my inhaler far more often than I normally would, and than is recommended for asthma, which is well managed. I asked the manager if I could exchange desks with someone further away or move desks. This was refused, as was suggesting that my coworker and dog work in one of the side offices. So over the last few weeks I've been trying different allergy meds. I've finally gone for one that is prescription, not over-the-counter, and I'm using my inhaler less. My eyes aren't streaming, but my nose is. I'm going through boxes of tissues. I'm hoping I get used to these meds because right now they're making me a bit slow. My partner is driving me to and from work as I'm not comfortable taking them and driving yet. Anyway, I am working noticeably slower than I used to, and I was picked up on this over the phone by another senior colleague this week. I explained that I was on new medication and that I was hoping to be back up to speed soon. My coworker heard this conversation and told me I was passively-aggressively complaining about her dog because we all know why you're taking the meds, and that I was blaming the dog for my having gotten lazy and slow over lockdown. I said that that wasn't true, and she didn't know what passive aggression was. I then left and made myself a cup of tea. Usually when we go to the break room, we offer to make everyone a cup. That was supposed to be my demo of passive aggression, but I heard her bitching about my attention-seeking tears. I literally couldn't stop my eyes streaming without medication, and maybe lost it a bit. When she went to lunch, I tipped my waste bin full of tissues into hers, and it is full by lunch and then again by home time. I've done this every day this week. Another colleague says I've made my point and I need to stop, otherwise she's, the coworker with the dog, planning on taking me to HR. My reaction was to say, "Let her, I don't care," which got a disapproving reaction from my colleague who was trying to warn me. I'm being childish, I know, but am I really the asshole here? I guess I'm erring on everyone sucks here for this one because what you are doing is wrong, yes, and it doesn't seem like there's a good solution to this issue. But at the same time, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I also think she's an asshole for what she is doing to you. Two wrongs don't make a right in this situation, but I don't know what the solution is. I'm unfortunately just gonna have to say everyone sucks here. Now for some relevant comments. Are you forcing a coworker to deal with your used tissues during a pandemic? This part of the comment originally said you're the asshole before the reply from the cleaner below. Editing judgment, everyone sucks here. You shouldn't need to get sick at your place of work, but I still think the tissue thing is disgusting. Is it possible to get a doctor's note about your allergies and maybe seek out HR? And OP replies, I'm filling up her bin with my used tissues. If she wants to use her bin in the afternoon, then she'd have to empty the bin. Otherwise, it's the cleaner who empties the bins. So you're happy to let another person deal with your snot during a pandemic. And FYI, I meant for co-worker to include any other worker at the place of employment. People cleaning included. You are most definitely the asshole in my opinion. Unsanitary. Replying to the comment above, I'm a cleaner. We are routinely expected to clean out bins with worse than snotty tissues. Trust me when I say, I'll take a bucket of used tissues over a bucket filled with human waste. And OP says, I guess I hadn't really thought about the pandemic because my tissues are allergy snot, not COVID snot. But are you saying that if I'm filling my own bin of tissues, then that's over and above what I should expect from the office cleaner? I hadn't thought of that. I'm not even sure where spare bin liners are kept for me to empty my own bin. I just want to say that I'm sorry and have amended my judgment. Allergies are serious, and I do hope you can work without getting sick. I do, however, stand by my thoughts about the tissues. I'm beginning to feel like a total dumbass for not already going to HR. It didn't occur to me that I could after the manager said that I couldn't move desks or anything. Why I've not already gone to HR? Because I'm a dumbass and it took the comments here before I realized I should have done that weeks ago. I can't go to HR until Monday, but I have emailed my union for advice. Yeah, I've contacted my union. The rep even emailed back today, on a Sunday. She's meeting with me tomorrow to go through what my next steps are. Apparently, she can come with me to any and all HR meetings, even if they're scheduled because my colleague puts in a complaint. So hopefully, I stop thinking through my snot-filled haze tomorrow. I have no idea how I'd go about suing them, and I'm not totally convinced that I could. I'm not in the US or Germany, or what that would mean for my work environment. However, I did get my union and HR involved, and I really should update this. And now, onto the update. I've met with my union rep, and with their advice, composed an email and sent it to my supervisor. We've also requested a meeting with HR to discuss reasonable accommodations for my allergies. Update 2. Whew. So the TLDR. I get to work from home 2 days a week. I still have my job, and my coworker can bring her dog in when I'm at home. My union rep is a lovely woman who knows her stuff, and HR seem to have spent their time bollocking my supervisor. My supervisor responded to the initial email by telling me that we had already discussed my requests, and I just had to suck up sitting next to the dog. So then I sent an email, in reply to that one, CC'd to HR saying that I couldn't come in the next day as my partner wasn't available to drive me. Which is not strictly true, and I wasn't safe to drive due to the allergy meds that I needed to take because of the ESA dog. Supervisor replied with a really unprofessional email, and according to my colleague, the one who told me that I was being a dick, got hauled into a meeting about that which involved one of the bosses actually shouting. I spent 2 days irritating my GP surgery for notes re allergies and asthma history, as well as a specific doctor's note for this incident. Then there was the meeting with HR. There was me, union rep, 2 HR people, supervisor, supervisor's boss, and supervisor's boss's boss. They didn't take me to task at all. Instead, they wanted to accommodate my health and me to stop taking medicine that affected my ability to drive to be able to work. So we worked out that I will work in the office Monday to Wednesday and home from Thursday to Friday. My colleague will work from home Monday to Tuesday and half-day Wednesday. She and I both need to be in half-day on Wednesday, which will be without her dog, but she can bring him in Thursday to Friday, and because the office gets deep clean Saturday, this shouldn't be a problem for me by Monday. Next week is the first week that we will actually try this. Oh, and the office gossip is that the co-worker with the dog didn't actually get any sort of official accommodation to bring him in, but she was friends with the supervisor, which is why he was just there, and no one checked about co-worker allergies, etc. This went super smoothly. Union rep knew all the right paperwork and what to say to everyone. Join a union, people. In the comments, the Mumarath says, an ESA isn't a service animal trained for a specific task. That alone should have been enough reason for OP's co-worker to leave it at home once it was clear that it was causing OP legitimate health problems. Things would have been hairier and harder to deal with if the pet was a service animal, but this should have been a non-issue. I think the supervisor was too dumb to realize that if an asthma attack is severe enough, the asthmatic can actually die. I have been hospitalized multiple times because my allergies have been so bad that my puffer has stopped working because fluid has built up in my lungs, and if I had waited another day, I would have been diagnosed with pneumonia. Allergies combined with asthma are no joke. My hubby and I have plans in place to help reduce my exposure, but that's only possible because I'm a stay-at-home mum. But in OP's situation, yeah, I probably would have resigned and maybe even sued if HR didn't handle this as well as they did. I hope this solution works for OP. Quote, but she's friends with the supervisor. Say no more, this was the root cause of this whole mess. People don't need to be friends with supervisors to bring their non-service dogs to work. Hell, it's a perk at some companies. People everywhere feel absolutely entitled to do this and wholeheartedly believe their pet at work does not inconvenience anyone, or they just don't care. Nobody bothers to check whether there are folks who are allergic among the staff or to give a heads up. It's not the fact that being friends with the manager allows her to bring in the dog, it's the fact that they are friends, that the manager didn't do jack about it, even after OP bringing it to their attention. Holy shit, how obvious is it that they didn't need an emotional support dog? Sounds like someone got a pet during lockdown and then didn't want to deal with paying for doggy daycare, doggy walkers, or separation anxiety once they had to go back into the office. As much as I like dogs, I would hate working with one in the office very close to me if it was not a trained service animal. They are distracting, may stink, and unlike service dogs, are not trained correctly. Yup, I've got a dog, and luckily he just sleeps when I'm at work from home. But the office is distracting enough without a dog there to take my attention away from my screen as well as everything else. And yeah, I'm pretty glad that the situation resolved the way it did. The way these stories usually go, you don't get that many people involved in a situation or conflict resolution like this. It's obvious they looked ahead to the future and were like, oh my god, pneumonia is a risk. That's not something I personally thought of when I thought of my "you're the asshole" / "everyone sucks here" judgment. So apologies to those saying that I'm an asshole for my "everyone sucks here" judgment because I've never had to deal with asthma. Anyway, still kind of crazy to me that so many people got involved, but this is an amazing outcome. And, I kind of agree with these people here. What the dog doing? Why the dog in the office? Just get rid of it. Leave it at home. Case closed. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.